There are choices you made yesterday that probably didn't feel important at all. You took the stairs, you sent a text, you drank water, you put the phone down, you read 2 pages, you took 5 quiet minutes before answering. You went to bed a little earlier, you said no, or you said yes. Ordinary choices. So ordinary, in fact, that by today you may have already forgotten them. But here's what we sometimes forget. Something doesn't have to feel significant today to be shaping tomorrow. Last week, we talked about looking back, about the perspective we gain when we stop long enough to see the path we've traveled. This week, I want us to look down at the path itself, because that path wasn't created all at once. It was created one step at a time. But before we go any further, let's take a moment to arrive. Take a slow breath in and let it go. Again, breathe in and breathe out. You don't have to solve anything in these next few moments. You don't have to create a new plan for your life. And you don't have to become a better version of yourself before Monday morning. Just be here. Because today isn't about changing everything. It's about noticing the power of changing one small thing. Imagine a field of tall grass. There is no trail, there's no sign, and there's no indication that anyone has ever walked through it before. And then one morning, someone crosses the field. Their footsteps press the grass beneath them. For a little while, you can see where they've been. But by afternoon, much of the grass has already begun to spring back. The next morning, they walk the same way again, and the next, and the next. And at first, almost nothing seems to be changing. A few blades of grass bent. Some remain flattened a little longer, but if you stood at the edge of the field after the first walk, or even the 5th, you might reasonably conclude that nothing significant was happening. But the person keeps walking. Day after day, the grass begins to yield. The soil beneath it becomes visible. The route becomes easier to follow. And eventually, there is a path. No single walk created it. There was no dramatic morning when the field suddenly announced, "Today, everything changes." The path emerged because someone kept choosing the same direction. One ordinary step followed by another and another, until what had once required intention became the natural way through. Our lives work a lot like that. We tend to notice change when the path is already visible. We notice the stronger relationship, the healthier body, the completed degree, the thriving business, the peaceful morning routine, or the career that seems to have found its direction. We see the result. What we don't always see are the ordinary choices underneath it. The phone calls, the walks, the applications, the meals, the boundaries, the conversations, the prayers. The 5 quiet minutes and the days someone showed up when showing up didn't seem to be making much difference at all. We underestimate those moments because we're looking for evidence too soon. We do something once and ask, did it work? We try something for a week and wonder, why don't I feel different? We take 3 steps and become discouraged because we still can't see a path. But maybe we're asking the wrong question. Maybe the question isn't, is this changing my life yet? Maybe it's, is this moving my life in the direction I want it to go? Because the life you want is built in choices too small to look life-changing. Let that sit for a moment. The life you want is built in choices too small to look life-changing. And there's another part of this we shouldn't overlook. The compound effect isn't automatically positive. Paths form wherever we repeatedly walk. The small habit of postponing the difficult conversation, the few dollars we spend without thinking, the 15 minutes that becomes an hour of scrolling, the boundary we keep allowing someone to cross, the promise to ourselves that we keep putting off until tomorrow, or those choices that feel insignificant too. That's why intentionality matters. The question isn't simply, what am I doing repeatedly? It's, where is what I'm doing repeatedly taking me? And we don't need to judge ourselves for the paths we've created. We simply need to notice them, because once we notice the direction, we can choose another step. So, how do we put this into practice without turning Monday into another self-improvement project? 3 simple things. First, choose the direction. Before you choose the habit, choose the direction. Ask yourself, where do I want this part of my life to move? Maybe you want greater peace, a stronger relationship, or better health. Maybe it's more meaningful work, greater financial stability, deeper faith, or more presence. You don't need a 12-step plan, you need a direction. Because when you know where you're trying to go, small choices become easier to evaluate. Does this move me toward that life or away from it? That's enough to begin. Second, make the next step smaller. Once you know the direction, resist the temptation to make a dramatic plan. Make the next step smaller. If you want to move more, maybe the first step isn't an hour at the gym. maybe it's 10 minutes of walking. If you want a stronger relationship, maybe you don't need a weekend retreat. Maybe tonight you put your phone away and give someone 10 minutes of your undivided attention. And if you want greater peace, maybe you don't need to completely redesign your mornings. Maybe you begin with 5 quiet minutes. Or if you want to write, don't start with the book, start with the paragraph. Make the choice small enough to repeat, because repetition, not intensity, creates the path. And third, measure direction, not drama. This one may be the hardest. Stop demanding immediate evidence that your small choice is working. We are accustomed to measuring outcomes. The pounds lost, the money earned, the pages written, the followers gained, and the tasks completed. But sometimes the most important measurement is much simpler. Am I still moving in the direction I chose? And that's where trust enters. Trust that the walk matters before the path appears. Trust that today's conversation matters even if the relationship isn't transformed tomorrow. Trust that 5 quiet minutes matter even if your life doesn't suddenly feel peaceful. And trust that one small boundary matters. One small deposit matters. One small act of courage matters. One small choice matters. And then make it again. I've been thinking about this a lot lately because of your Sunday setup itself. There was never a Sunday when I sat down and created your Sunday setup. I created an episode, then the next week I created another, and another, and another. Most Sundays didn't feel historic. There was work to do, a script to write, a recording to make, images to create, a video to edit, and then Sunday came again. So I showed up again. Now, more than 100 episodes later, I can see something I couldn't see while I was doing it. Those small acts of showing up weren't only creating a series, they were creating something in me. More clarity about what I believe, and more confidence in my voice. A deeper understanding of what it means to live intentionally. And no single Sunday did that. The accumulation did. And I think that's true for all of us. Sometimes the practice isn't only producing the result. The practice is producing us. Think about how this might show up at work this week. Maybe you want to become a better leader. And that's a big aspiration. But leadership rarely changes because someone decides on Monday, I'm going to become a better leader. It changes because today you listen without interrupting. Tomorrow, you give someone credit for a good idea. Wednesday, you ask a better question instead of immediately giving the answer. Thursday, you have the conversation you've been avoiding. And Friday, you tell someone specifically what you appreciated about their work. None of those actions is particularly dramatic, and no one hands you an award. There may not even be immediate evidence that anything changed, but keep walking that path, and eventually those choices aren't simply things you do. They become the kind of leader you are. That's how so much of life changes. Quietly, repeatedly, one ordinary moment at a time. So here's your challenge for this week. Choose one small thing. Just one. One choice you can make each day for the next 7 days. Make it small. In fact, make it small enough that part of you wonders whether it could possibly matter. Drink the glass of water. Take the 10-minute walk. Write the paragraph. Send the encouraging message. Put $5 aside, turn the phone off during dinner, or take 5 intentional minutes for yourself. Whatever makes sense for the direction you've chosen. Then, repeat it. For 7 days. No complicated tracker, no demand for perfection. If you miss a day, you haven't failed. Take the next step. At the end of the week, don't ask, did this change my life? Ask, is this a path I want to keep creating? And if today's episode encouraged you, gave you something to think about, or simply gave you a moment to pause, I'd love for you to like this video, subscribe to Your Sunday Setup, and share it with someone who might need this reminder. These Sunday conversations grow one person at a time, which seems particularly fitting this week. And speaking of small practices, what if returning to yourself only took 5 minutes? That's the idea behind the Mindful 5 Mindful Moments digital card deck. It's a digital collection of simple 5-minute practices designed to help you pause, reflect, reset, and reconnect, even on the days when life feels too full to add one more thing. No meditation experience is required, just 5 intentional minutes. And as we've talked about today, 5 minutes may not feel life-changing while you're doing them. But 5 intentional minutes chosen again and again can begin creating a very different path. You can explore the digital card deck at themindful5.com/card deck. And next Sunday, we're going to take this idea one step further, because if the things we repeatedly choose shape the paths we're creating, then perhaps we should become more intentional about what we're taking with us. A few Sundays ago, we asked what it might be time to put down. Next week, we turn that question around. What's worth carrying? As you step into this week, don't underestimate the ordinary moment. Don't dismiss the small choice because no one else will notice. And don't abandon the path simply because you can't see where it's leading yet. choose the direction, take the step, then take it again. Because the life you want is built in choices too small to look life-changing. And sometimes the smallest step you take today is quietly creating the path you'll be grateful to walk tomorrow. So, until next time, take care.